This film was described as one of the worst sequels of all time, one of the worst horror films of all time, and generally, just in a nutshell, one of the worst films ever made. But is it actually as bad as what a lot of people think? Well, I'm going to be exploring that question today. I'm Jim, this is JimFLIX, and today my review for this. Exorcist 2, The Heretic. Exorcist 2, The Heretic was made by John Boorman in 1977, the director of Excalibur, Point Blank, Deliverance. Pretty good track record, but this film is something. Obviously, a sequel to the masterpiece that is The Exorcist, one of the greatest films of all time. Hands down, one of my top 10 films of all time, a true masterwork by director William Friedkin, who wanted nothing to do with Exorcist 2. So, starting from the top, the film was ripped to pieces by critics on its release. It was ripped to shreds by fans, hated, loathed, considered a slap in the face to the original The Exorcist, and it really has a dreadful reputation. Is that warranted? Well, we're going to discuss that today, and starting from the top, what is the film about? So, we join Father Lamont at the beginning of the film, who is a priest who is doing an exorcism. We learn of his connection to Father Merrin from the first Exorcist film as he opens his Bible and there's a little picture of Father Merrin in his Bible as a bookmark, essentially, or as like a little bit of sort of a talisman, I want to say. He performs the exorcism. The woman who he's exorcising sets herself on fire and bursts into flames. So a bold opening, gets you right from the beginning, and wow. We then cut to Reagan, who is now 4 years older, so 16, and she's undergoing therapy at a psychiatric unit, and she's also living with Sharon, who's her carer now, who is in the first film, the kind of nanny housekeeper from The Exorcist. And the film hints towards the mother, Ellen Burstyn, who is not in this film, but the film kind of excuses her away and lets you know that she is just off on shoot, as she's obviously an actor. And from there, Father Lamont is assigned with the task of investigating the death of Dr. Merrin from the first Exorcist film, who died obviously exorcising Reagan. And he's basically now being posthumously accused of heresy due to some of his controversial writings. So Lamont is investigating the death, so that's what leads him to Reagan, who is obviously undergoing therapy. So Lamont meets Reagan at the therapist office, and we also learn that there is basically a machine that is used for therapy which synchronizes minds. So kind of a psychic device of sorts which links two people's minds and kind of leads to a shared psychic experience. So that's basically the setup for the film. Without giving too much away from there, Reagan and Father Lamont synchronize their minds. Reagan seemingly has no recollection of the exorcism from the first film. She doesn't remember a thing. So Father Lamont kind of delves into her psyche to discover some things about Father Merrin, the death, and if Reagan is still possessed, and so forth and so on. That leads him to Africa, where he goes in search of a young boy who seemingly has the ability to fight the demon that was possessing Reagan in the first film, and that is potentially still possessing her now to this day, Pazuzu. And that's about as much as I can really explain at this point. The film from there is crazy, but that's the general setup without giving too much away. So the first thing I do want to say about the film is that as a sequel to The Exorcist, it is dreadful. I mean, let's just get that out of the way now. I think the criticisms were warranted in some regard. If you're looking at the film through the lens of The Exorcist, then I mean it just does a terrible job, basically, as a sequel, as a follow-on from that film. tonally, it's just so different. It's antithetical in a lot of ways to the original film in terms of, well, I mean, mainly the tone, but in terms of everything, to be honest. The dialogue, the characters, the narrative. It's a dreadful sequel. It is a bad sequel. However, is the film as bad as its reputation? I don't think so. I think that this film is strangely genius in some regards. It is a lot of fun. It's completely mad. It is as mad as a box of frogs. It's completely off the wall. John Boorman is a madman. It really is just one of the strangest films I've seen. It's incredibly kind of campy. It's got this just strange exuberance, which, as far as I'm concerned, is quite infectious in a lot of ways. I thought the film was just jaw to the floor. Just, you sat there just in amazement and in awe in some ways, although you're kind of chuckling to yourself through most of it. But it is good. I think it is very good in a lot of ways. And a lot of things that I think make it good and make it a fun and enjoyable watch are a lot of the things that led to the dreadful reputation that this film has. Again, as a sequel, it is not good. But we're going to go into a little bit more detail now, so sit back, relax, and let's discuss The Exorcist 2. So the first thing, how does the film look? Well, the cinematography, in my opinion, is fantastic. This is basically the new release this year by Arrow Video. It's been cleaned up, restored, and I think it looks pretty damn good, if I'm completely honest. It's got a nice dreamy kind of look. It's got that classic 70s film look. The grain just looks gorgeous. The cinematography is fantastic. The cinematographer, William A. Fracker, did a great job with this, in my opinion. Some things to note that I thought were really good is it has a great sort of dreamy look to a lot of the scenes. It also has a section of the film where basically it takes place in a tube station or an underground or a subway station, and then on a train, and it's just heavy with this beautiful green fluorescent lighting. It looks fantastic. That leads me on to the next thing that I wanted to mention, which is the set design and the production design. I think it's fantastic, the look of the film, and particularly the set design. It's very strange, and as with a lot of elements of this film, it teeters between absurd and kind of genius in some ways. The psychiatry office is just so odd. It's got this kind of beehive ceiling, kind of beehive patterned ceiling, and it's just got these pods, almost these glass sort of kind of cabinet rooms almost, that are just so strange. It's just such an odd design, but it, as with a lot of things in this film, it just makes you feel a bit uneasy, and it's just so off key. I mean, it has a strange kind of clunky sci-fi feel to it, a lot of the film, and particularly because of the production design. The apartment where Reagan is staying with Sharon is just odd as well. Looks slightly kind of Clockwork Orange, but it's a lot more futuristic. It has these strange kind of mirrored panelled walls, a lot of glass, a lot of silver kind of panels and kind of furniture, I want to say. It's really odd. It is really, really odd. And again, as with much of this film, the oddness, the strangeness, how bold it is, how just completely unapologetically off the wall it is, it works, I think. It works just to make you feel a bit uneasy. Your jaw is just on the floor. It's really strange. Which leads me on to another kind of strange element of the film, which is the synchronizer, the psychic synchronization device that plays quite an important part in the narrative of the film. It's so odd. It really is completely different to anything that you would see in the first Exorcist, which is just so grounded, so down to earth, so earthy, I want to say, which is what really worked for that film. It made it so that the supernatural elements really jump out at you, and it's just a great contrast. But this is just kind of a really odd, clunky kind of sci-fi-esque kind of storyline and prop, if you will, with the synchronizer device. Really strange, but again, just really works in making you feel a little bit uneasy and just keeps you guessing. It's just so weird. It is a bit creepy as well, to be honest with you. The scenes where they're using the synchronizer device, it's got this flashing light, and it has this strange bassy low tone that syncs up to the light, and it's just creepy. It really is creepy. So works in that regard. Another element that I didn't think worked, that is a bit weird as far as I'm concerned, a bit strange, is Ellen Burstyn, the actress who played the mum in the first film, is not in the second film, but the psychiatrist Jean looks incredibly like her, played by actress Louise Fletcher, and again, she basically just looks very, very similar, too similar to Ellen Burstyn. It's a bit jarring and a bit strange at the beginning, and it does throw off your initial immersion into the film, because as soon as she appears on camera, you're like, is that the mum? And it kind of takes a bit of time to work out that she's a psychiatrist. She's not actually Reagan's mum. And then you kind of go, right, oh, okay, and you settle in. And so a bit odd. I don't know. I really don't know why that decision was made. I suspect it was probably something to do with the studios, maybe, who wanted someone who looked like Ellen Burstyn, maybe for the promotional material for the film, or whatever the case may be. But a bit of a misstep as far as I'm concerned. It's strange, and not strange in a way that works for the film like a lot of the other elements. And just kind of jumping back again to the set design, one thing I did want to mention as well is that some of the scenes in Africa work really, really well, in my opinion. They are odd, they're surreal, they're very strange, and they are creepy. They are kind of scary in a lot of ways and just make you feel on edge, a bit creeped out, a bit weird. They kind of reminded me a little bit like the scenes in Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula, where it's like the little paper models against the very fake kind of backdrop. The African elements, the African scenes in Exorcist 2 are strangely fake and surreal, but I think work really well, give it kind of an odd, stagey kind of vibe, which I did like and I did appreciate, as are a lot of the other scenes. It's just, everything is just, it's barking mad, basically, and that's what really works for it. So something else that's worth noting is the acting. The acting is, I'm going to say, hit and miss. So Richard Burton, who plays Father Lamont, is absolutely off his rocker. It is the most crazy, indulgent, over-the-top performance I think I might have seen in a long, long time. But again, it's like watching a car crash. You're just glued to it and your jaw hits the floor and doesn't let up. It's so strange, so barking mad. So much fun, so engaging, so enjoyable to watch that it's excusable and it works. It's strangely genius in some regards and just a joy to watch. Linda Blair is just charming and lovely and very easy to watch. She's just fantastic. I really enjoyed her in this film. Double thumbs up for Linda Blair. She's a childhood crush due to The Exorcist 2, which I didn't actually watch when I was younger. Despite having a crush on Linda Blair when I was a kid, I still refused to watch this film just because I loved the original so much, and it's taken me 20 years to get around to watching this. But a little bit of a side note there. The rest of the performances are okay. They're fairly good, but all in all, I think just because this film is so strange, whether they're good or they're bad, you just have to take them as a part of the film, if that makes sense. It's not a film where all the elements are great and one particular element is really bad. it's so all over the place that it's just this beautiful kind of mishmash in this fantastic mess of loads of different elements, good and bad, that all work within the strange and crazy logic of this film. Which brings me on to the next little point I did want to mention, which is the dialogue. The dialogue is hilarious. Some examples I wrote down. Reagan says to a little girl in the psychiatry office, "Oh, hello, I'm Reagan. I was possessed by a demon, but don't worry, he's gone now," which is just childish and ridiculous to the point of being just laugh out loud funny. Another fantastic line was Father Lamont saying, I've flown this way before, but on the back of a locust. Don't ask, just you have to watch the film to get it. Another one was, if Pazuzu comes, I will spit out a leopard. Just so bizarre, which, if I'm honest, ties in with something that I was going back and forth with about this film, something that I was kind of mulling over in the aftermath of watching this, which is I couldn't really decide if the film is that off the wall crazy or if John Boorman did approach this a little bit kind of tongue-in-cheek. It's really difficult to tell, if I'm honest with you, because, again, the film is strangely genius in a lot of ways, albeit just ridiculous, absurd, dreadful and terrible in other regards. So it's very hard to know what was going through his mind. Some of the elements, some of it really seems ridiculous and tongue-in-cheek, but there are other elements which seem very much serious and kind of a little bit too much on the nose. But again, it all just kind of works in this within the strange logic of this film. But definitely has some strong kind of tongue-in-cheek vibes to it, which release a little bit of the pressure. I think that to view this film as a serious sequel to The Exorcist is not the best way to enjoy it. You have to really divorce yourself from the original film, and albeit it does have a lot of the same characters and it is clearly a follow-on from that film, you have to kind of watch it, in my opinion, as a standalone piece, a bit of a strange oddity of cinema, and just kind of give yourself over to it and just marvel at the strangeness and the boldness of this thing. And that way, I think you will enjoy it, or at least I enjoyed it. And I think that viewed in the right way, you will enjoy it because it's just so unique, so strange, and just so much fun. Last thing I want to mention before I go is the ending to the film. And I mention this more as kind of a strange disclaimer in some regards, because I don't want you lot to go away, watch it, and based on the ending specifically think like, what was Jim thinking? This thing is dreadful. The ending does go a little bit too far, in my opinion. I think the first couple of acts are just so bizarre and strange but they kind of get away with it in some regards. The ending really is a bit absurd and a little bit ridiculous and just a bit too much, I think. I appreciated it and I enjoyed it. In my opinion, it's kind of like, the car was just going to crash into the wall, so let's stick it in fifth gear, 100 miles an hour, just plow this thing into the wall, go for it, give yourself over to it, and just go completely over the top with it. But it is really silly. It's ridiculous, to be honest with you. But I'm starting to ramble. So I will most probably be doing a follow-up to this video. There is apparently a documentary coming out about Exorcist 2. There is also a booklet in the new Blu-ray release that I've got here. There are a few special features, and because I found it such a strangely fascinating film, I'm going to be doing a bit more research on it, and hopefully you guys leave some comments down below to give me a little bit of food for thought, and I will be revisiting the film as well. This review today is basically just my kind of off the cuff, if you will, just kind of rough review on it after watching it just a couple of times now in fairly quick succession. So please, again, leave some comments below. Give me your thoughts, and I'll be checking back in with you regarding this film at a later date. In my opinion, this film is definitely worth your time. It is a lot of fun. Whether you love it or you hate it, you're not going to forget it. John Boorman, I think, is both a madman and a strange genius of sorts. Give it a try. You know, it's definitely an experience, and it's definitely worth your time. So thank you very much. Like and subscribe. Please do leave a comment below letting me know what you thought of the film, letting me know what you thought of my review of the film, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong, whether I was fair, whether I'm deluded, whether I'm an idiot. Whatever you want to say, it's all good. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.